Here are 15 powerful ways to use Sora 2 and WAN 2.5. Both are incredibly impressive in what they can create, and WAN 2.5 is even uncensored. Let's start with something you might not know yet. In Sora 2 you can use timestamps to guide your text to video prompts. I also added some dialogue marked in blue, so pay close attention. This way, when we look at the video later, you'll be able to see if the timestamps match correctly. Now on the Sora 2 website you can see I've added my prompt in here, and now here in the settings you can choose between portrait and landscape, and I'm gonna leave it on landscape. And potentially you can also upload your own image as a start frame by clicking here. And now I'm gonna hit generate. And then we got this final video.
You said you'd show up. Guess it's just me again.
If you paid close attention, you saw that Sora 2 nailed it perfectly. I'm really impressed with this video, but the resolution isn't great. And since Sora 2 is still free, there's no way yet to remove the watermark. Later in the video, I'll show that WAN 2.5 can also handle timestamps. But before that, I want to start with something I am very excited about, because with WAN 2.5, you can use your product and turn it into a complete ad with voice and cinematic audio in just seconds. And for that, I used this image and I used this prompt to create it. And in Nano Banana, I used the prompt, "The black jar is floating high above the clouds." And then I got this image. I'm using the digital magic jar named after my main YouTube channel as a fun way to introduce it to you. Now I'll use WAN 2.5 on Higgsfield AI to turn this image into a complete product ad. Now in the video tab with the WAN 2.5 model selected, you can see that I have already uploaded my image in here, and I've added my prompt in here. And I used Captain America soars through glowing clouds behind the black jar, reaches out and grabs the black jar with a powerful hand. He chuckles and says, and then I've added the line of text here, then I added the word background and the words soft wind through clouds, uplifting heroic music. And adding this makes sure that this becomes a complete product ad. Now you can turn prompt enhancing on, and I really like this feature in many situations, but for this one I prefer to keep it off. And then you can see I've added the duration to 10 seconds and the resolution to 1080p. And then I ran a few generations and ended up with this amazing result.
Forget the Infinity Stones, this is the real power source.
I am blown away by how well the video and sound effects fit together, and the heroic music adds the perfect finishing touch. I tried the same image and prompt with Sora 2, but got a message saying the content might violate their guidelines. That's because Sora 2 doesn't allow famous or copyrighted characters like Captain America. But Sora 2 does an amazing job with creating fully edited commercials, and for that I used the text to video prompt, a food delivery ad for Karen Card, where suburban mums named Karen deliver your food, but they always complain about your tip.
Another latte and kale wrap for Chris. Tip, $2?
At Karen Cart, your food arrives fast and with feedback.
Cushion was crooked. Fixed it.
You're welcome.
And this is amazing. You don't have to think much about camera angles anymore. Sora 2 does it all for you. Let's move on to the 360 camera movement, and for this I use the model Seedream 4.0. And what I like about Higgsfield, that in the image tab I can use all the favorite models that I prefer, like for example Nano Banana, Flux Context, and you can even use Topaz to upscale your images. So for the text to image prompt I used ultra realistic motorcycle race on a track, sleek racing bikes leaning into speed. For the image to video prompt with WAN 2.5 I used the part highlighted in green to create the camera effect. Camera starts inches above the track in a low tracking shot beside the lead rider, then arcs around the bike in golden light. It dives between two battling motorcycles, narrowly sliding through the gap, then sweeps upward to reveal the full pack. And that gives us the following result. I love how the camera zooms in, arcs around the motorcycle and then reveals the whole pack. At the end you can clearly see the AI is struggling, so that part isn't usable. But the first 7 seconds are amazing. And using the same prompt and image on Sora 2 we got this result.
My side through the dust, number 21 holds alive, but here comes the Kawasaki on the inside.
This is also a really nice shot, even though I didn't prompt for the commentary. In my opinion though, the first 7 seconds of the WAN 2.5 video looks a bit more realistic. The next tip is how to use annotations. For this I'll merge these two characters into the same video. This method can give great results, but it can also be frustrating since it doesn't always work. This applies to both WAN 2.5 and Sora 2. Still, if you're willing to try a few generations, it's definitely worth it. And now in the video tab, I only have to select the draw to video mode. And here you can see I already uploaded my image, and I did that by clicking here. And now you can select the text tool, and now I can add my prompt in here. And here you can adjust the settings. For example, you can go for 10 seconds, like I do, and for 1080p. And this is my final result, and I use the prompt high-speed cinematic chase. A woman flies forward through flames, hair blowing in the wind while the juggernaut flies through the fire, chasing after the woman. And I also used this example, but it never worked, so I always make sure that everything is touching at the bottom and the top, because then it works. And now the only thing left to do is click on generate. And then we got this final result. It's not perfect and you'll need to trim the white to make it usable, but it does show that annotations can work. I couldn't use the image with the woman in Sora 2 because at the time of recording, Sora 2 doesn't allow realistic images as start frames. So I created a new start image for Sora and ended up with the following video.
You shouldn't have come back. Let's finish this.
I'm really excited about this shot. The editing Sora adds gives it a cinematic feel, but sometimes I don't even want that. In those cases I prefer using WAN 2.5 to get a consistent shot from my starting frame. Let's move on to the amazing disintegration effect, and for this I need to thank Peter Klauka, an amazing creator I met in the Higgsfield AI community tab. He experimented with time steps in WAN 2.5 and got incredible results. His prompt is quite long, so I'll show it here. And a quick tip, since many people ask for my full prompts, you can simply take a screenshot of them and drop it into ChatGPT. It will write out the full prompt for you perfectly. I've also simplified Peter's prompt, so it's easier for you to see what's happening. Now I'll use this version on Higgsfield with WAN 2.5. Now on Higgsfield, when you stay in 720p resolution, you get unlimited generations with the Ultimate or Creator plan. Plus there are also daily free runs on all plans. And turning this on means that you won't pay any credits for your generations, but you will end up in a standard queue, so you have longer waiting times. For now I want to set my resolution to 1080p and I'm going to set the duration to 10 seconds. And here are both results from the long and the small prompt. I am really impressed by how realistic this looks, and also WAN 2.5 responds very well to timestamps. Unfortunately, I couldn't test the disintegration effect with Sora 2, since it doesn't allow famous characters. And if you want to reproduce this image, then you can use this prompt. Now, if you want to learn more about prompt structures, camera movements and controlling the speed of action shots with WAN 2.5, make sure to watch this video on my main Digital Magic channel. Let's move on to the first person perspective, and I used this image for that, which I created with Cdream 4.0 with the prompt first person perspective of a soldier aiming a futuristic assault rifle in a war-torn city. And then for the image to video prompt with WAN 2.5 I used the shot is from a first person perspective, simulating the slight shake of a handheld combat camera. And that gives us this result. And then with the same image and the same prompt in Sora, I got this result.
Neck front! I'm laying down fire! What's up? Two more by the car! Reloading! Coming!
Both shots look really good in my opinion. I prefer the shooting action in the Sora 2 video, but what I really love about the WAN 2.5 video is how the character actually walks around from a classic first person perspective. When I used a simple gameplay text to video prompt, I did got a first person perspective moving character with Sora 2.
Cooking a frag.
Let's move on to the next one, where we will use famous characters to make funny memes. And since WAN 2.5 lets you use famous characters, I uploaded this image of Gandalf and used the following image to video prompt. An elderly wizard with long white hair and a flowing beard speaks in a low heavy voice and says,
They said I carry the fate of Middle-earth, but really, I've only been carrying this.
I really love this. Even Gandalf's facial expressions look super realistic. This way you can create hilarious memes with WAN 2.5. And while Sora 2 doesn't allow uploading famous characters, you can still make very funny memes with it. And on Sora I used the prompt a lion escapes from a TV screen and enters the real world. And then we got this result.
Mom, it's real.
I really like it, But I prefer using WAN 2.5 because it gives me more control over what I want. Sora 2 feels more like a meme machine that comes up with creative ideas on its own, while I enjoy coming up with ideas myself. In the end, it just depends on what you prefer. Let's move on to the next one, creating a cool chasing scene. And for the image to video prompt with WAN 2.5, I used the following. A colossal metallic titan charges forward at full speed, tearing through towering skyscrapers and shattered city streets. I'm really happy with the result, especially at the start, where you can clearly see the arms smashing through the buildings. When I used the same prompt and image with Sora 2, I got this result. I'm a bit disappointed with this Sora 2 result. But this also shows that every model has its strengths and weaknesses. Don't get me wrong, I really like Sora 2 and it has great potential, but for many use cases, especially more cinematic ones, I just prefer using WAN 2.5. So let's continue with the product pop-up, something that became popular through VO3. For that I used this image. And for the image to video prompt with WAN 2.5, I broke down the prompt in two sections, the camera instructions and the description. And for that I used a cardboard box burst open with toys suddenly popping out of the top of the box. And on Sora 2 I used the same image and prompt but added no dialogue or speech to the prompt, because if you don't include that, Sora 2 will automatically add dialogue to your video. Now let's compare them side by side. They both look nice, but the WAN 2.5 video feels a bit slow, and in the Sora 2 version not much stuff pops out of the box. Before we move on, I want to quickly show you how well WAN 2.5 and Sora 2 follow prompt instructions. And for that I used Seedream 4.0 with these two input images to create this image. And for the image to video prompt with WAN 2.5 I used the prompt, the woman tucks her hair behind her ears and the man puts his arms around the woman. And it nailed it perfectly. And since I can't upload an image with realistic characters on Sora 2, I used the following text-to-video prompt. A woman and man stand next to each other on their ship. The woman tucks her hair behind her ears and the man puts his arms around the woman.
I can never keep this out of my face when the wind changes.
It's got a mind of its own.
Maybe. Feels cool.
And you can see it also nailed it perfectly and added a nice dialogue. The next tip is a specific Higgsfield feature. On their platform you can use pre-made effects with both text to video and image to video, like the ones you're seeing here. I usually like creating my own effects, but when that doesn't work, it's great to have pre-made ones. And on Higgsfield AI you can do both. Since Higgsfield is the sponsor of this video, they've given me a special 10% discount code for my viewers, which you can find in the description below.